are watching City Live.
City Live, a platform to sharing your thoughts.
Architecture and Design. Let me introduce the moderator, Professor Rathore, Dean, Aayojan School of Architecture, with 30 years of experience and 26 years of teaching experience at Aayojan School of Architecture and Design. Since inspection, he is a planner from SP Delhi and architect from Goa School of Architecture, and he has been instrumental in policy development and many innovation and teaching and guiding more than 250 students and many allocates in its kitty. And let me invite Professor Rathore to take it forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Beneath. Good afternoon, Jaipur. How is the Josh? So, all those who are interested in the panel, students around, there are students from different colleges. I request them to please come at the venue. We are going to start it very shortly. Am I audible? Before we commence with the session, I would like to give a quick introduction to the topic of discussion today. The topic is From Pink City to Contemporary City, Negotiating Heritage, Tradition, Innovation. So, when the Pink City of Jaipur was born in 1727, the masters of the city decided to adopt a distinct style of city planning and building design. It became India's most significant example of pre-modern planned urbanism, characterized by coherent spatial planning, uniform architecture, climatic responsiveness, above all cultural continuity. In fact, Jaipur has been conferred the status of World Heritage City by UNESCO for its continuity of living arts and crafts tradition. So, on one hand, Jaipur continues, or should we say, continues to struggle to retain its heritage character. On the other hand, the city today is experiencing rapid urbanization, social transformation, technological advancement, even public aspirations, and to topic climate change. So the city has to grapple with many factors, and the environment has really changed since independence, because 18th century we saw industrial revolution, and the city was actually born in 1727, we can say during the industrial initial beginning of industrial revolution, but things changed from there, and today it is even other stage which we are going towards information age and things like that. So there are many factors which are pulling or pushing the growth and development of Jaipur in many directions. So on one hand, Jaipur continues, or should I say, continues to struggle to retain its heritage character. On the other hand, the city today is experiencing rapid urbanization, socio-economic transformation, technological advancement, public aspirations, and climate change, resulting in substantial changes in the built environment. Now, if we look at cities like Chandigarh, Chandigarh was born post-independence, and a very significant thing happened in the case of Chandigarh. That was, the brief given by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And I quote him, and he said, the plan of Chandigarh should not bear the baggage of past and should address the needs and aspirations of young India. So there was a very clear-cut brief given to the planners and designers and practitioners what should be the shape of the city of Chandigarh. Even the architecture of Chandigarh, which actually took the shape of modern architecture, as we all know. But the face of Jaipur is very different. It's a historic city, and people don't come to Jaipur to see the new Jaipur. I mean, you will not come across people, moving in the streets, the foreigners moving in the streets of Jagatpura, but definitely you will see them inside the city. The reason being, there is some quality, there is some value that attached to the architecture and planning of the city of Jaipur. Now, as young professionals, there are a lot of people here who are going to graduate, and become architects. For them, it is very difficult to decide what path to take. So, in absence of a clear mandate to the professionals of city, they are at the crossroads, wondering which path to adopt. I think there are two distinct paths which one can take. One is continuity, you continue with the heritage, and the other is change. And change is something which is a very, important factor which is influencing architecture of the city, not just Jaipur, I would say almost all cities of the world, because more and more we are changing, more and more we are becoming same. Because even a politician would tell you that I want to make Jaipur Singapore. But God forbid, when this happens, then people will not come to see Jaipur. Now we have a panel of experts from the city having diverse interests and vast experience in different domains to present their view on this issue, how we should negotiate heritage, tradition and innovation in this changed environment. Before we commence with the session, let me give you a brief introduction of the panel members, and as I introduce them, I would request them to please take their place on the dais. Mr. Shashank, Architect Shashank Mahagaonkar sir, is a senior architect and town planner with over 50 years of experience. He retired as Chief Town Planner of Rajasthan, as was closely involved in all master plans of Jaipur, gaining deep insight into the city's growth through his work with JDA and Nagar Nigam. He also served as the president of ITPI Rajasthan chapter and after retirement worked as an advisor to master planning and temple complex development for major temple towns of Rajasthan. He will be presenting his views on urban development planning perspective. Now the second member on the panel is Architect Pooja Agarwal. Pooja Agarwal, madam, is an architect and urban designer with over 2 decades of experience, currently working with DRONAH and the DRONAH Foundation and serving as professor at Aayojan School of Architecture, Jaipur. Her work focuses on heritage conservation, urban research and development projects in Rajasthan, particularly Jaipur. She has also led heritage walks, conferences and workshops and is presently pursuing her PhD at MNIT. Welcome, madam. She will be presenting her views on heritage and cultural. Now, I would also like to request Architect Gaurav Agarwal. Architect Gaurav Agarwal is a senior practicing architect with over 24 years of experience and the principal architect of Gaurav Agarwal Design Studios, specializing in sustainable architecture. He has received national recognition for his professional and institutional contributions. He is actively involved in architectural education and holds leadership and membership roles in several professional bodies related to sustainability, such as IIID, IIA, SOCHM and FSI. I may have forgotten some. He will be presenting his views on design and practice perspective. Welcome, Gaurav. Last but not the least, I have on the panel Architect Manish. Architect Manish is a principal architect of the North firm and an associate professor at Aayojan School of Architecture with over 13 years of professional and academic experience. He is a graduate of Aayojan School of Architecture and holds 2 master's degrees in sustainable architecture and urban planning, with research interest focused on climate responsive design strategies, passive techniques, energy efficiency and urban planning. He will be presenting his views on sustainability and climate responsiveness. I welcome all the panel members. Since we have started the panel discussion a little late, I would like to be very quickly will come to the task assigned to us today. Let me introduce first of all how we are going to conduct the session. We are going to have 2 rounds of questions, and if time permits, we'll go for supplementary round, and then after 2 rounds, we'll take questions from the audience. All right, and each participant or member of the panel is going to get 5 minutes to answer give his views on the question. And first and foremost, I would like to start with Mahagaonkar sir, because he has been into the business of planning and execution of various policies and planning projects in Jaipur. So my question to him is, how can rapid urban expansion in Jaipur be balanced with conservation of historic urban fabric? Here I can add that he can talk about all that has been done, all that could not be done, and all that should be done. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. जैसे अभी राठौर सर ने जैसे सबसे पहले बताया कि urban there is on one side there is rapid urbanization, on other side our heritage is suffering because of the rapid urbanization. Now how can it be balanced? That is the basic question. Now before understanding this, how it can be balanced, let us first understand the magnitude of the problem. इस प्रॉब्लम की मैग्नीट्यूड है क्या? आप ये देखिए, the walled city is roughly an area of about 6.75 square kilometers. That was in 1727. That was planned in 1727. For next 200 years, it continued happily living in the walled city. Everybody happily lived in the walled city. In 1930s, the city started expanding outside. The main reason for this expansion was the railway station, which came outside the walled city. Naturally, after that, various schemes started taking place. Sir Mirza Ismail took up 5 schemes like the Sea scheme, Bali Park, etc. All these. Then gradually the city started expanding outwards. And as on today, the position is, if I compare it, just see the position. The walled city, accommodating almost 6 lakhs of population, is having an area of 6 square kilometers. And till recently, the area of JDA, that is Jaipur Development Authority, is as much as 3,000 square kilometers. Meaning thereby that outside the walled city, we have expanded at least 500 times. And very recently, the JDA has further expanded its limit, making it more than 6,000 square kilometers. Meaning thereby, it is now 1,000 times more than the walled city. Now, this is on one side that the expansion has taken so much area. On the other side, if we look at the commercial activity, you see there is a word CBD, that is Central Business District. That is the main commercial core area. That commercial core area remains even today. It is the walled city. That means the area which was serving the population of the walled city is now serving an area of 1,000 times more. And that much is that is the magnitude of the pressure in the walled city. Because even today the commercial activity is entirely the central business district. Even today, earlier it was the CBD was walled city. Today the CBD is walled city, and even tomorrow the CBD is going to be walled city. Now under these circumstances, all our main monuments, all our main heritage areas are within the walled city. Rather, the entire walled city has been declared as a heritage city, World Heritage City. Under these circumstances, with so much of pressure, how we can manage the things? There are, time to time, there are efforts to decongest the city. Certain activities were taken out from the walled city, like your transport activities, which were in the Chandike Taksal area. These have been now shifted out. The grain mandi has been shifted out. Your markets, plumbing and sanitation, sanitary industry has been shifted out. The old artist market has been shifted out. New artist market area. Even the elephants, which used to stay in the Chokri Kokhana Huzuri area, they have been shifted out. Gradually, your Anaj Mandi is shifted out. Fruit and vegetable market has been shifted out. But the rate of shifting out is much slower than the rate of commercial activity coming in the walls. That is the problem. The commercial activity initially was only on the ground floor. Now it has shifted to the upper floor also. Even your Havelis, these are getting converted. There is a report of 2023 which said that even after government banning the commercial activity, new commercial activity, entirely banning in the walled city, at least 500 new commercial complexes have been developed unauthorizedly within the walled city. And this process is continuing. Now, the commercial activity doesn't come only by itself. It brings along with it a number of evils along with it. Say for example, the traffic problem, the parking problem, the load on the infrastructure, then your transport issues, your logistic issues, congestion issues. There are so many things which come simultaneously along with the commercial area. And the major issue that is as on today before us is how to manage this much of commercial area which is keeping on increasing, irrespective of the bylaws, irrespective of the government orders. Whatever is happening, the actual development is very rapid. And this is a major problem about which I think my colleague will going to say.
Yeah, rightly said. I mean, the city which used to be was designed for 60,000 population. Now it is actually having 6 lakh of population accommodated in the same space. But interestingly, it could have been more. But because it has changed its role, now it is a commercial center rather than people living over there. People have moved out, but the commerce has remained over there, and then because of that, there are many issues that have come. Now, I would have to ask Pooja Madam. This is something which whether it is government or even in private practice, architects generally wonder what are the things which they can put in a building and that will make it look like, at least if not behave like heritage building. So my question to Madam is, how can architects what are the defining architectural elements that represent Jaipur's heritage and identity?
Okay, thank you for that question. So, since last 20 years, I have been observing Jaipur Walled City, and I am proud to be associated to many prestigious projects which brought Jaipur on the world platform, right? So, I think the first thing that characterizes Jaipur's architecture is the 3 architectural styles. you know, and each style respectively belonged to one century. So like it initiated in 1727 AD on a plateau area which was thoughtfully, selected for this unique great city because Savai Jaisingh wanted to show the world that, see, this is my capital. And in his Poti Khana, he had plans and designs from almost all over the world. It's a very good resource that Poti Khana of Jaipur had. So very informatively, he laid out this city. He shifted his capital from Amer, which was first at Dausa, then he shifted to Amer. And then Jaipur Wall City was born. So the first initial style, and Jaipur Wall City was never built in one go. आप जो अभी देखते हो, very cohesive planning, common walls, right? No, not even a single inch of space left out. That didn't happen overnight. That didn't happen in 10 years or 20 years. It happened eventually with all these styles that I will talk about now. So the first style was the Rajput Mughal architecture, which came about in the 18th century when Savai Jaisingh was the main mentor to the city and Vidyadhar Bhattacharya was, attending all the architectural works in the city. And this was also because of the great alliance that the Rajputs, Dhundari Rajputs did with the Mughals sitting in Delhi. And that is how this cosmos came about. So that was the first defining style of Jaipur. Then during Savai Ram Singh's period, because he used to travel a lot in the entire world, so he brought, when Britishers were there in India, so that time in the 19th century, there was colonial architecture. So if you walk around Jaipur, you can see those triangular pediments. SMS Town Hall is a very good example of it. And then the third defining style, which is the 20th century style, is the Art Deco style. Okay? So in Art Deco, there are many bungalows which later came up in Seaskin area. So Art Deco, because I think the world was bored with a lot of detailing and all, Art Deco came up with its own simplistic details and all this. And interestingly, you can see all these three styles in Albert Hall, in Yadgar, in SMS Town Hall, in Mubarak Mahal, and this style came to be known about Indo-Saracenic architecture. So there is a mix of style as well. Okay? So these are there is also an Indo-Gothic building in Jaipur, very interesting, the Mahila Chikitsalaya, which was formerly known as Mayo Hospital, established by Lord Mayo. Okay, so it has Gothic features in it. Okay, beautiful building. Okay, but yes, later on when the expansion took place, the initial style was neglected, and the government did whatever it could do for the expansion. This is the first thing to start with the styles. The other elements are the defining architectural elements, and uniquely, there is a liberty that if you're refurbishing your facade, there are these notified facade control guidelines. You can refurbish your facade in any of these three styles. And the measurement system also matches all the three different styles. With research, we found that out. And the other things are the finishes. Okay. So the finishes are basically the lime finishes over stone, random rubble masonry. Okay. And then the entire city was painted pink, or you can say Geru color, okay, in 1876 when Prince Albert was visiting Jaipur. So these are the elements, finishes, textures, styles, elements which define the architectural style of Jaipur even today. Even today. Yes, there are transformations like people are using cement, but consciously they are, I think, obeying these elements. See, transformations will always happen. Nobody can stop them. People will put ACs, they will put coolers, they will modernize their houses. But if they are staying in wall city, I think they do try कि कुछ ना कुछ उनका घर वैसे ही पुराना जैसा दिखे, चौक वाला घर. Okay.
Okay, so Madam is talking about what can be done in the wall city, but we would extend our discussion beyond the wall city, and I would like to ask a question from the practice, So, Gaurav, can you tell us how can architects reinterpret traditional materials forms and spatial planning in contemporary projects. I'll give you a background of that, why I'm asking this thing, because I asked the same question to Madam, what are the quintessential elements? So if you have to make a building that would look like a Jaipur building, so what do? You know, bring in the elements as, essence or as prototypes. Over to you.
Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me in this panel. Thank you so much, Rathore sir. और एक प्रैक्टिसिंग आर्किटेक्ट होने की वजह से सर ने मुझे इस पैनल में रखा है और सबसे अच्छी बात यह कि मुझे मौका मिल रहा है स्टूडेंट्स से और यंग जनरेशन से दोज ऑल हैप्पी डिजाइनर्स एंड आर्किटेक्ट्स से इंटरेक्ट करने के लिए। सो सर, जब आपने क्वेश्चन स्पेसिफिकली मेरे से पूछा एज एन आर्किटेक्ट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, मैं सबसे पहले बोलना चाहूँगा, जैसा कि सर ने बोला कि 300 साल पहले जयपुर की स्थापना हुई थी, सर मैडम ने बताया कि 1982-87 मतलब यानी करीब उसके 150 साल बाद जयपुर को पूरा पिंक कलर कर दिया गया था। एंड आफ्टर दिस इंडिपेंडेंस इट वाज अ चैलेंज टू अकोमोडेट ऑल दीज माइग्रेटेड पीपल, नॉट ओनली फ्रॉम द राजस्थान बट ऑल्सो फ्रॉम द नेबरिंग स्टेट्स। उनके लिए जयपुर एक्सपैंड होना चालू है इन द एरियाज लाइक बनीपा, एमआई रोड एंड आदर्श नगर एक्सेट्रा। सर ने बताया हम 2019 के अंदर यूनेस्को वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट के अंदर हम एनलिस्ट हुए एंड द कंटिन्यूएशन इज गोइंग ऑन। मुझे लगता है इस हर स्टेज के ऊपर किसी ना किसी आर्किटेक्ट का या डिजाइनर का रोल रहा है। मिर्जा इस्माइल साहब की बात करी गई थी, विद्याधर भट्टाचार्य जी हु वाज एन आर्किटेक्ट ऑफ जयपुर सिटी एज, तो कहीं ना कहीं आर्किटेक्ट का रोल इसमें रहा है। अब और जयपुर उस वॉल सिटी से निकल करके जो कि जाना जाता था कि फॉर वाइडर स्ट्रीट्स, फॉर ग्रिड प्लानिंग, यू नो, फॉर चौक करके जयपुर हैज ग्रोन आउटसाइड। एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात एज अ डिजाइनर मुझे लगता है कि किसी सिटी का जो आइडेंटिटी है वो तो रहनी ही चाहिए, उसमें तो कोई छेड़छाड़ होनी नहीं चाहिए। अगर आप किसी शहर में गए और सब कुछ आपको ब्लू दिख रहा है तो आपको पता है कि मैं जोधपुर के अंदर हूँ। इफ एवरीथिंग इज टर्न इनटू येलो यू आर इन जैसलमेर, इफ एवरीथिंग इज टर्न इनटू पिंक यू आर इन पिंक सिटी। लेकिन उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम सिर्फ उन एलिमेंट्स को हम सिर्फ उठाएं और उनको आगे कॉपी पेस्ट करते जाएं। दैट इज नॉट एट ऑल द क्राइटेरिया। मुझे लगता है एज अ डिजाइनर वी शुड बी सेंसिटिव इनफ टू टेक दोज प्रिंसिपल्स, टू टेक दोज विजन्स, टू टेक दैट कंटेक्चुअल कनेक्ट। वो बहुत जरूरी है, तो कंटेक्चुअल कनेक्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और अब चूंकि हमको सब, जैसे मैडम ने कहा कि वी ऑल नीड एसीज एंड कूलर्स टू बी पुट इन, वो हमारे कंफर्ट के लिए है, तो वी शुड थिंक इन दैट डायरेक्शन जहां पर हम उसको सस्टेनेबिलिटी एस्पेक्ट से, हम हमारे हेरिटेज कल्चर और जो हमारा सोशल कनेक्ट है उन सब को लेकर के, उन सबका समावेश करके इफ वी कम आउट विद अ काइंड ऑफ अ प्रपोजल दैट इज डेफिनेटली एडिंग टू इट। मुझे एकदम से आपसे बात करते करते एक एग्जाम्पल आ रहा है विच आई वुड लाइक टू कोट टू यू। देयर इज अ लूरे म्यूजियम इन पेरिस। एक सलमान खान की मूवी भी आई थी जिसमें वो एक कांच के पिरामिड के आगे डांस कर रहा है। सो आई मीन दैट वाज अ सी शेप colonial building of, मतलब वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट एग्जाम्पल ऑफ हेरिटेज ऑन दोज डेज। वहां पे उनको चैलेंज आ रहा था टू एकोमोडेट द टूरिस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन सेंटर and to accommodate all those people who come to visit Louvre Museum. So what they have done is they have dug the central courtyard and they have made a waiting and tourist information center giving access to 3 sites in the 3 wings of the C shape, and they have put up a pyramid, a glass pyramid on top of it. Those glass pyramid से क्या हुआ? It has been very contemporary, very modern, but still उसने पीछे का जो backdrop था, जो पीछे का फेशिया था, उसको बिल्कुल डिस्टर्ब नहीं किया। So I mean as an architect आई थिंक हमारा रोल वही है टू बी वेरी सेंसिटिव इनफ कि हमारा हेरिटेज, हमारे कल्चर, हमारे सोशल नीड्स क्या कहती हैं एंड ब्रिंगिंग देम ऑल टुगेदर एट अ कंटेक्चुअल। थैंक यू सर।
I thought you would talk about your, work or something that's in Jaipur. You took us to Louvre, but it was very appropriate. How do you actually build in a strong historical context? But I would like to know more from that you. If you are building outside the historical, still how do you, connect with the city of Jaipur?
So if a time permits, I'll come to it again, sir. Please. Thank you.
Okay. Since he Gaurav also talked about air conditioners and things like that. So I did mention that we are living in a very different time. Okay, so we are, nothing is constant. Everything is changing. What used to change in 50 years in my grandfather's time, it changes in 5 years in our time. So that is the kind of pace of change that we are seeing in the world now. So this change has also brought many problems to the cities. Major problem that we are confronting today is climate change. And everybody talks about sustainability, climate change and all. So I would like to ask a question to architect Manish. What lessons can contemporary architecture learn from Jaipur's traditional climate responsive design strategy?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I would like to tell first what sustainability is all about. Sustainability is about the learning from the past. Like we can say, अगर हम जयपुर का example है, let's say we are taking example of the elements like झरोखा, जाली. I mean, these are the strategies or the passive design strategies which the building has used. With respect to that, this heat island इफेक्ट जो पहले अगर हम देखें आजकल की ग्लास बिल्डिंग से अर्बन हीट आइलैंड इफेक्ट क्रिएट होता है जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दोस टेम्परेरी ट्रेडिशनल आर्किटेक्चर इफ वी आर सेइंग ऐसा कुछ इफेक्ट क्रिएट नहीं होता था दैट इज व्हाई बिकॉज ऑफ सस्टेनेबिलिटी बिकॉज दे हैव अचीव because of certain materials we can say strategies like passive design strategies if I'm taking an example of the wall city we've gone through that street have you observed what kind of climatic impact that we have over there the street width the street the orientation that we have that is absolutely as per the climate because we have very hot and arid climate maybe you can say which actually in the past view become composite. It is very harsh temperature that we have. Instead of that, we are feeling much better comfortable conditions over there just because of those strategies. So that's why I think we would need to adopt the sustainability as much as possible. We learn from the architecture from the past as our I mean we taking example of the element जैसे कि अभी हमने डिस्कस किया झरोखा पैटर्न जिसमें एक या before that I would like to add that sustainability has social, environmental and economical all three aspects. As far as the social aspect is being concerned, तो पहले बाहर की जो एक तरह से सराउंडिंग है उसे देखने के लिए पर्दा सिस्टम होता था इवन दैट सोशल ऑल्सो कनेक्ट सोशल एस्पेक्ट भी एक तरह से देखा जाए तो दैट मैटर्स अ लॉट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट स्ट्रेटेजी इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट of course that reduces you can take example of Hawa Mahal you can take example of Amir I mean these are those examples in which we saw better sustainable aspects as compared to the contemporary development. So I think we should learn what are the strategies. जैसे कि अभी हमने AC की installation की बात की सर पुरानी किसी बिल्डिंग में I don't think so कि AC installation is there. Like if we take example of the Same, we don't find any AC over there. But yes, it is very good as far as sustainability is concerned. So I think we took some of the techniques from these past, from these planning principles, and then implement it in our modern buildings. Maybe we can. As far as materials being concerned, yes, we can use. Certainly, बहुत अच्छा example दिया. Yes, we need to use or we need to incorporate that thing as well. But we need to keep in mind those strategies which the sustainability must have. I think.
Okay, thank you, Manish. I think we can move on to the second round of questioning. My question goes Mahagaonkar. Hello. Sir, the question is, what role should urban policies and development regulations play in safeguarding Jaipur's architectural character?
देखिए सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि जो किसी भी शहर में या कोई भी बिल्डिंग में हमारा जो कंट्रोलिंग फैक्टर रहता है गवर्नमेंट साइड से और फ्रॉम द लोकल अथॉरिटी साइड दैट इज द बिल्डिंग बायलॉज. नाउ इन केस ऑफ बिल्डिंग बायलॉज जो you all know World city is designed on the introvert planning basis. The buildings are looking in, whereas the entire development outside the world city, the entire development, that 1000 times more area, has been developed under plotted development, that is extrovert plan. That is, building is in the center and open areas all around. Whereas in introvert planning, the building is all around and the open area is inside, in the form of a courtyard or in whatever. So the building bylaws for these cannot be followed. So these building bylaws have to be separate building bylaws as they are as on today. For the world city, we are having building bylaws of 1970, and for the outside area, the new building bylaw 1970. But these 1970 building bylaws unfortunately continued for as many as 50 years, and the new building bylaws for the world city came up only in 2020. So during this period, a lot of damage has been done because these building bylaws, the earlier building bylaws, were very, very sketchy. They were not taking into account all the detailed aspects. Very few things, particularly the main bazaars, they were covered. Nothing else was covered. That was a major problem so far as the building bylaws. But here, again, we are not dealing only with the individual buildings. Here we are dealing with the entire city. The entire city. When we talk of the city, we need something larger than building bylaws. And for that, there should have been some organization which would look into these aspects. The ideal example for this is Delhi. Delhi has Urban Art Commission for Delhi. Now, because of that, whenever any building comes up in Delhi, anywhere in Delhi, that is first examined by this commission. And if it suits that area, then only it is permitted, otherwise it is not permitted. We don't have any such mechanism in case of Jaipur. So there is nothing like an Urban Art Commission for Jaipur. And therefore, say monstrous buildings like your IPT tower in the just outside the walled city is constructed, because of which the entire view of your urban hall is lost. This is because we don't have adequate building bylaws, we don't have adequate provisions in the law to protect these. So in my opinion, the first thing that is required is adequate provisions should be made in the law, so that we are in a position to protect our buildings.
You are advocating that we should also have a Urban Art Commission for Jaipur. Okay, my next question is for Pooja Madam. I am hurrying, because we have less time. And some of us we have to leave here. Yeah, I know. That's why I am doing most of the reading. Otherwise, I would have taken over. How can contemporary architecture retain Jaipur's cultural authenticity without resorting to superficial replication? Because I think that is one very important factor which one has to consider as an architect or a designer of the issue of authenticity. Because you can make art in RCC, but that is not what is required by the material RCC. So over to you, madam. What are your views on?
I'll just start with what Sir just touched upon, that IPT tower. With much effort, it comes in the buffer area of UNESCO World Heritage City, Jaipur. So yes, you do have some norms for the buffer area, which were overlooked in this case because of political reasons. But with much effort, we were able to lower down a few stories of the same building, because अगर वो और ऊपर जाती तो एल्बर्ट हॉल का बैकड्रॉप और खराब होता. तो कुछ some little bit of it was done, but yes, for the buffer area too, there has to be strict bylaws, because there is a proper buffer area for the Jaipur World Heritage City. Coming back to Sir's question, see, I personally believe that nothing can be replicated in its true sense. Kahin na kahin it will be compromised or it will be damaged. The very expression of it can be damaged, right? So I believe that the lessons which we can draw from the architecture is the best thing is scale and proportion. Okay? Jaipur is the only city in the entire world in which you will find haveli of almost any dimension, right? So that the largest of the haveli is Natanio ki haveli, which was a salt trader, who even gave money when Jaipur city was being made. So सबसे बड़ा plot उसको दिया राजा ने. उसमें 7 courtyards हैं, right? And that is now adaptively reused as a police chowki, as a school, as a residence. It was too big enough. Okay? And another thing which Jaipur has, and Jaipur has havelis from single courtyard to 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7. Okay? And Jaipur को क्या देखा देखी, I think और भी cities ने राजस्थान में जयपुर का मॉडल लेके हवेलीज बनाई और काफी कुछ आर्किटेक्चर के साथ किया. Another thing which Jaipur possesses is its Haveli style temples. So the walled city has almost like 400 temples. We have done the listing. Okay? And there are only, I think, 5 to 6 temples with shikharas in Jaipur. That also on choppers you can find. So the best thing I think to learn and to adopt is the scale and proportion. क्योंकि scale and proportion आप copy नहीं कर सकते, आप उसे apply कर सकते हो. Okay? The other thing is the spanning systems, because stone has a limited spanning quality, है ना? लेकिन फिर भी the architects and builders were able to make गोविंद देव जी मंदिर, जिसका गिनीज बुक में भी नाम है. So that was a combination of a pre-stressed beam with the other traditional elements that were used in Jaipur. So I think one should learn from such spanning systems. The other thing is finishes. Okay? That how with lime so many colors are possible. So I would in fact request all young architects here that if you do get a client who wants to use traditional finishes, please encourage him. Please go back to what the city has already told you so much about. And yet lime is a very versatile material, the best material. And nowadays, instead of using the word sustainability, I have gone back to use vernacular and indigenous. Indigenous is local. Okay? So when you use local materials, local scale and proportion, I don't think you are replicating it, but you are learning and applying the same principles in your design, and your design then will always be successful and it will become more inclusive. And most importantly, जिन लोगों के लिए आप बना रहे हो, you need to understand their minds first. What do they think? So I think I was able to answer your question, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, it was on cultural authenticity, and you say that cultural authenticity is something which there can be nothing authentic.
Yes.
So replicating anything is not a great idea. I think you should reinterpret. And I have a question for Gaurav on that theme only. Is it necessary for new developments in Jaipur to visually relate to traditional architecture, or can reinterpretation be more conceptual? Again, I mean the same question.
I mean, sir, not at all necessary. मेरा तो मानना यही है कि हम सिर्फ वही विजुअली ट्रेडिशनल एलिमेंट्स को उठा करके और अब हम कॉपी पेस्ट करें, ऐसा बिल्कुल भी जरूरी नहीं है. किसी भी सिटी के ग्रोथ के लिए, बिकॉज इट इज ऑल अबाउट hosting population, it is all about hosting our needs. तो ये तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है कि हम सिर्फ वर्ल्ड सिटी को हम रेप्लिकेट करते जाएं बाहर की तरफ, बट जो हमारे पास है हम उसको तो हम कंजर्व करके रख सकते हैं. सर, देयर आर एग्जांपल्स लाइक सिटी ऑफ बाकू इन अजरबैजान, जहाँ पे उन्होंने ओल्ड सिटी को उन्होंने रखा है संभाल के, उनकी धरोहर, और बाकी भाग की तरफ एक्सपेंड कर रहा है सिटी. एंड दे आर एक्सपेंडिंग द सिटी इन 3 सर्कल्स. द फर्स्ट बीइंग occupied by the millionaires, second being in a hierarchical position, but they have made the point कि जो सबसे last circle के अंदर है, the person who is on daily wages or something person like that, उनके लिए transport facility इतनी अच्छी develop की हुई है कि within 20 minutes they are in the heart of the city. So we have to do it that way. मतलब मुझे लगता है सर, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हम कि हम आज भी हम ग्राउंड प्लस 1 ग्राउंड प्लस 2 हवेलियां बनाते रहे शहर के बाहर और हम एकोमोडेट कर पाएंगे. वील बी आउट ऑफ लैंड. और अगर वैसा कुछ करना पड़ेगा। तो अगर हमने अभी कोरोना के समय था 1 मीटर सब दूर रहेंगे, तो इंडिया वुड हैव टेकन अफगानिस्तान एंड ऑल द अरेबियन सी एंड बे ऑफ बंगाल राइट अप टू चाइना। इतनी जगह चाहिए फिर हम सबको एकोमोडेट 140 करोड़ लोग वो करें। सो बट लेकिन ये है कि प्रिंसिपल्स हमको बिल्कुल फॉलो करने चाहिए। वी शुड नॉट डेविएट फ्रॉम द प्रिंसिपल्स। और आपने जैसे मैडम ने भी कोर्टयार्ड की बात करी, दिस वाज एक्चुअली न्यू टू मी आल्सो कि हमारे पास ऐसी भी बिल्डिंग्स हैं जहाँ पर 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 कोर्टयार्ड्स हैं। इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। लेकिन सर हम उन्हीं कोर्टयार्ड्स को आज हमारे डिजाइन के अंदर भी स्टिल इनकॉर्पोरेट दोस कोर्टयार्ड्स। Maybe the language of the courtyard has changed. It is now have become a landscape court, which adds light and beauty to your residence. It's enclosed by glass, maybe, may or may not be, but courtyards are there. We are following the principles of passive architecture definitely. I don't have an AC also in my house. मेरे घर में जो AC है वो सिर्फ मेरी मदर के रूम में लगा हुआ है, because I don't want her to be that way. मेरा ऑफिस is air conditioned, definitely my drawing room is air conditioned, but none of my rooms and neither my living and dining and puja area or kitchen area is air conditioned. It's still working that way. तो जो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं वो हमको डेफिनेटली फॉलो करने के पड़ेंगे, बहुत रिलीजियसली हमको फॉलो करने पड़ेंगे। और दिस कंटिन्यूटी ऑफ प्रोसेस इज मस्ट। अगर हम एक कंटिन्यूटी ऑफ प्रोसेस को मेंटेन कर पाए तो हम कंटिन्यूटी ऑफ प्रोग्रेस को डेफिनेटली अचीव करेंगे। एंड वी हैव टू पास ऑन दिस नॉलेज एंड विजडम टू अवर नेक्स्ट जनरेशन। तो सर इसलिए पक्की बात है, जो आप देख रहे हो उसको कॉपी करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। जस्ट फॉलो द कंटेक्चुअल ऑफ इट। उसका कंटेक्स्ट
in a way you are saying you have to reinterpret whether it is a spatial quality or it is a elemental quality.
अब किया ही ना सर, अगर मेट्रो जो हमारे जयपुर में है मौजूद, वो शहर में जाके अंडरग्राउंड हो जाती है ना सर, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि हम मेट्रो को हम ऊपर से लेके जाए, उसको आर्चेज और डोम्स हम पहनाते जाए एंड वी आर पासिंग द मेट्रो फ्रॉम, बिकॉज दैट इज अ नीड ऑफ टाइम। थैंक यू।
Rightly put. Yeah, okay, Manish, that's the last question from. No, we will have another very short one. That is on thermal comfort, because we are living in the times of climate change, and certainly it has brought thermal comfort to the center stage. And my question is that what are the principles that contribute? How can we learn from Jaipur to make our buildings more thermally efficient?
I think as far as this term binoculars is concerned, I think we need to understand first we need to plan with respect to the urban scale and then plan with respect to the building scale. And from the building scale, if we are talking about, we need to think with respect to the wall thickness, the strategies. Let's say, let's take an example, sir. हम climate responsive architecture की बात करते हैं, पैसिव डिजाइन की बात करते हैं, so we need to think about what are those elements by the virtue which we need to address what are the strategies or what strategies we need to incorporate, like solar radiation, temperature, wind, precipitation. We need to take into consideration all these aspects, and then we need to implement these strategies. जैसे कि कोर्टयार्ड की मैम ने बात की, yes, absolutely we need to look into the courtyard, and of course in modern contemporary architecture we need to incorporate courtyard, but there is a ratio of the courtyard that we should maintain. There are certain buildings they are saying yes it is a courtyard, but the ratio of the length and width is not as per the scale that courtyard should have. Like 1:1 ratio is the absolute ratio we can say the courtyard must have. But if let's say length is 10 meter and the height is 40 meters, that is not acting as a courtyard, or 20 meters. So that means the terminology gets changed. So we need to think about those terminologies in detail, and then we need to design, or incorporate such strategies in the building. Of course, in building we need to think about all these elements, and then we make it.
Unfortunately, we do not have any classification or terminology to differentiate between a shaft and a core on the basis of the proportion. So I think yes, somebody should do research on that. So to end the session, I will have a quick, view of. Before that, I will open it for the audience. I think we should have questions from the audience. You can ask any of the panelists, and including me. I don't mind. You want a microphone?
उनका मन हो रहा है सर. Please, any questions? No? Not really. शक्ल बता दी.
I tell you, we were discussing, basically continuity and change. Why we are discussing this? That's the important thing, which should come to your mind. Before you ask the question, let me praise you again, bring you back to the core of discussion. What do I mean? I gave you example of city of Chandigarh. Why? Because Chandigarh never had the baggage of the past. Some of the cities in US, Singapore, they never had the baggage of the past because they did not have any cultural history as we understand. As Prime Minister also calls India as a civilizational country. So we are a civilizational country. We have something of the past also. So just imagine for architects, they have to take a decision that which path to take or which road to take. Of road of continuing with what we were doing or road of change. So this is the central point of here. Now you can ask your question.
Of thermal comfort to Manish sir, and he is telling us about the art and charm and the voids for daylight and ventilation. So how it is relatable to thermal comfort which we required in our home?
First of all, as far as the heat gain is being concerned, that could be reduced with respect to the courtyard planning, we can say. I suppose hot air rises up. So, this is one of the passive techniques that we have as a courtyard, but it should follow the proportion. That's what I'm saying. As far as the daylighting is being concerned, let's say if we have multiple floors, we have top floor, 4 floor structure. The courtyard is not as per the proportion. Is the ground floor, find an adequate lighting over there or not? I suppose no, if the proportion is not as per the courtyard that should have. I think this is one of the strategy as far as the daylighting is concerned. Heat gain, of course, there's an effect in the heat gain reduces with respect to the courtyard system that we have. Apart from that, building materials we can use, the thickness of the wall, cavity wall we can have. We can have so many techniques, but I'm actually squeezing it shortly so that
एक पॉइंट बस ऐड करूंगा, अगर आप कोर्टयार्ड नहीं प्लान कर पा रहे हो, फॉरगेट इट. अगर आप मोटी दीवार या कैविटी वॉल्स नहीं बना पा रहे हो, फॉरगेट इट. प्लीज कीप सर्विसेज एंड that kind of a stuff on the southern and western side and keep all the living areas on the north and east. Thank you.
And design semi-open spaces like verandas and one.
it depends on what typology of climate you have.
And use the correct materials.
In nutshell, courtyard is what you can, it doesn't aid in reducing heat gain, but it aids in reducing heat, increasing heat loss. Climate control. That is your question answer. In the end, any more questions from the audience?
So we talked about SMS extension. पहले हम लोग गर्दनीश जाते थे, नाहरगढ़ जाते थे, तो हमें जयपुर की एक्सेस नजर आती थी. गर्दनीश एल्बर्ट हॉल को एक्सेस नजर आती थी. तो पहले समय बोलते थे कि वहाँ पे वो एल्बर्ट हॉल है. अब कोई भी जाता है सबसे पहले ये बोलता है कि वहाँ पे वो SMS का एक्सटेंशन बन रहा है. तो वो जो एक सिटी का हेरिटेज विजुअल कनेक्टिविटी थी वो ब्रेक हो चुकी है बिल्कुल. तो अब कोई भी उस चीज को देख नहीं रहा है, तो हाँ वो चीज आता है तो सब यही बोलते हैं कि वो एसएमएस का टावर बन रहा है एल्बर्ट हॉल पे, बहुत बाद में देखते हैं, बोलते हैं सबसे ऊंची लाइट चल रही है वो एसएमएस का टावर बन रहा है। वो पहले इतना बन रहा था, पहले दिखता था कि एल्बर्ट हॉल है जयपुर का, ये
पहले ना ऐसे बताना पड़ता था कि देखो वो लाल कलर के गेट में से वो चौड़ा रास्ता निकलने का, अब वो तो लंबी सी बिल्डिंग है ना, उसके नीचे एल्बर्ट हॉल,
वो डायरेक्ट वहीं पर पहुंच जाते, जो पूरी एक्सेस कनेक्ट करती थी जयपुर सिटी को, वो टूट चुकी है। अब सब लोग डायरेक्ट वहीं देखते हैं एसएमएस का टावर। जो उससे पहले चीजें हैं वो सब तब नजर ही नहीं आती, जो जयपुर की ग्रिड नजर आती है।
so the bottom line is it is all about the population। अगर हमें कंट्रोल वी पोस्ट आवरसेल्व्स कि हम चाइना के भी ऊपर आ गए पॉपुलेशन, अरे भैया पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल कर लो, हम मनी हो गए ना, इसलिए करो उसको कंट्रोल कर लो। आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स विल गो ऑफ। पॉपुलेशन एंड लिटरेसी दो ही चीजों ने हिंदुस्तान को मार रखा है, अदरवाइज कहीं पर दिक्कत नहीं।
So I will take more questions.
जैसे जो पहले के मटेरियल्स यूज होते थे तो वो पैसिव डिजाइन और पैसिव कूलिंग के आपको उनको प्रेफर करते थे, और जो आज के मटेरियल्स है वो ज़्यादा चीपर है। तो क्लाइंट को समझाने में बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क पड़ता है कि उस वाले मटेरियल से उनको कैसे टैकल कर सकते हैं।
नहीं, पहले वाले मटेरियल्स यू आर सेइंग कि एक्सपेंसिव थे। नहीं, एक्सपेंसिव नहीं है। लाइन बिल्कुल एक्सपेंसिव नहीं है, लाइन इजीली सोर्स हो सकता है। लाइन को बहुत सारी चीज़ों के साथ यूज़ करके काफ़ी लोग एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे हैं। लाइन के साथ एक ही लिमिटेशन है, यू नीड पेशेंस, और उसको लोग गलत इंटरप्रेट करके ये बोलते हैं कि ये एक्सपेंसिव है। ठीक है, लाइन के खूब लेबर वो भी मिल जाते हैं आजकल, स्किल। इनफैक्ट यू विल नॉट बिलीव, जितने भी कंजर्वेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स ऑल ओवर इंडिया चल रहे हैं, सब जगह जयपुर से लाइन क्राफ्टमैन जा रहे हैं। भोपाल हो गया, ग्वालियर हो गया, लखनऊ हो गया, क्योंकि वहाँ नहीं है, जयपुर में अभी भी है। इसका मतलब यहाँ पे काम अभी भी हो रहा है, विच इज़ अ पॉजिटिव थिंग। ओके, है ना? तो क्लाइंट को ठीक से समझाओ रिसर्च करके, वो जो सुनना चाहते हैं वो मत बोलो, राइट?
Okay, we'll have the concluding remarks from the panelists. First, Manish, continuity or change?
I suppose we need to keep in mind the continuity, yes, of course, but there is a little learning from the past we should incorporate.
Gaurav, continuity or change?
Such change, but with the continuity.
Pooja madam.
So I think they are the two sides of the same coin, continuity and change. I'll quickly give you a small example. जयपुर बाजार्स पे रेस्टोरेशन वर्क होने वाला है, और हम गवर्नमेंट को कन्विंस कर करके थक गए कि ट्रेंच डालो, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की ट्रेंच डालो, और वो मान ही नहीं रहे। बोले बरामदे गिर जाएंगे, मेट्रो भी है, ये भी है, वो भी है, बट वी आर स्टिल स्टिकिंग टू इट कि नहीं, ट्रेंच कभी ना कभी तो बनानी ही पड़ेगी। पूरे कनॉट प्लेस में बनी हुई है, तो व्हाई नॉट? ओके, सो दैट्स अ चेंज, बट वी स्टिल वांट टू कंटिन्यू विद द हेरिटेज expression of Wall City.
It is two sides of the coin, but you don't start tossing to take decisions. Caution. Sir, continuity or change?
The change is inevitable in the present context. Change के बिना कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता है। But I think we should only try to understand जो historically जो हमने ग्रो किया हुआ है, उसके जो मेजर प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, उन प्रिंसिपल्स को फॉलो करते हुए we should go for the change.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists.
Thank you, thank you.
I think we can have a bigger round of applause for the panelists. As a token of appreciation for the, we would like to give you something from our college side, right?
a round of applause for the moderator also. Thank you. Move on to
City Live, a platform to sharing your thoughts.